Hello everyone, a very warm welcome. Today we are going to discuss about introduction to linear equations. So we'll start from the very basics. If you understand the basics of XY plane, you can see we'll be having four different quadrants. Quadrant number one, quadrant number two, quadrant three, and quadrant number four. These are the four quadrants. We know this is our y-axis and this is our x-axis. The point of intersection is 0, 0, which we normally called origin. Now, let's understand more about it. So first of all, we need to understand that if any point on the xy plane is given to us, that is, for example, this is the point Px1, y1, what does it represent? Now, so always understand that x represents the horizontal distance and y represents the vertical distance. That means when I say x1, it is the distance from the y-axis to this particular point. And when I say y1, it is the distance from x-axis to this particular point. That means this is the point P x1, y1. Similarly, in a consideration, if I say x2, y2, then similarly x2 will be the horizontal distance from y-axis to that particular point, and y2 will be the vertical distance from x-axis to that particular point. Okay. Now, if someone says that you need to figure it out, the distance from P to R, it can be easily represented as x2 minus x1, this distance. Similarly, if someone says that you need to figure it out, the vertical distance between R and Q, the distance will be y2 minus y, correct? Now, we need to understand that how we can figure it out, the distance between 2 points in the coordinate plane. This is applicable for any 2 points in the coordinate plane. For example, we'll be finding the distance between P and Q. So distance between P and Q, with the help of a Pythagoras theorem, we can easily form that a horizontal distance and a vertical distance form a 90-degree angle with a triangle being formed P, Q, and R. So the distance between P to Q can be represented as under root of x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. This formula is called distance formula and can be used to figure it out the distance between any 2 points in the coordinate plane. Similarly, if you want to figure it out, the center point or the midpoint of any 2 points given. For example, we'll be having point P whose quadrants are x1, y1, and we have a point Q which is having quadrants x2, y2. If we want to figure it out the center point of these 2 points available in the coordinate plane, how we can find the midpoint? So midpoint formula is the average of x and the average of y. That can be written as that the coordinates of point M can be represented as x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So these are the two very fundamental formulas that we just described with you, the distance formula and the midpoint formula, which are very much helpful in the SAT examination. You can see that the distance formula is being described in the diagram itself. Similarly, the midpoint formula, you can see the visual over here. Now let's understand the slope. What is slope? In normal terms, slope is m, represented by m. It is basically rise over run. When I say rise, it is nothing but y2 minus y1. When I say run, it is nothing but x2 minus x1. So slope is basically y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. It is also called change in y over change in x. Change in y over change in x. So always understand this. The slope is basically change in y over change in x. Moving ahead towards the properties of the slope, the major properties of the slope are we need to understand all about the zero slope, non-defined slope, positive slope, and a negative slope, what they are, and what are the specific properties. Now, when you say about a zero slope, a line which is parallel to the x-axis will have a zero slope. So always remember, any line which is parallel to the x-axis will have a slope equals to zero. Similarly, any line which is parallel to the y-axis, a line parallel to the y-axis will have a slope equals to not defined, which is also called a sign of infinite because we know that 1 by 0 is infinite, which is not defined. Now, positive and negative slope. Now, how we define it? Well, let's consider the x-axis have this side as left and this side has right. Now, when I say for the positive slope, I'm saying moving from left to right, if it feels like the plane is taking off, the length or the track that is being traced, it feels like that the plane is taking off. All those lines, all such lines basically have called ascending lines and hence have a positive slope. So this line must have a positive slope. Similarly, moving from left to right, if it feels like the path traced is the plane is landing, all those lines are basically called descending or falling lines and hence have a negative slope. Mathematically, this can be written as for the positive slope or ascending lines or rising lines, you can say with the increase of x, definitely going from left to right, with the increase of x, y also increases. All those lines have positive slope. And for the falling lines, going from left to right, with the increase of x, y falls. All those lines have negative slope. So that is how we can define any positive line or a negative line. Moving ahead towards the concept of a parallel lines. Lines are parallel when the distance between these two lines remain constant throughout, right? When you say this is, for example, line 1 and this is line 2, the distance between these two lines remain constant throughout. These lines are called parallel lines. Now, what is the property with respect to the parallel lines? The slope of these lines are basically equal. You can say the slope of line 1 is equivalent to the slope of line 2, right? So for parallel lines, the slope of both the lines must be equal. Moving ahead towards the concept of a perpendicular lines are those lines, for example, this is line 1 and line 2. Perpendicular lines are those lines in which the at the point of intersection, the angle made is of 90 degrees. That means when they intersect, they form an angle of 90 degree with them. So the property of the perpendicular lines is the slope of line 1 is equivalent to negative reciprocal to the slope of line 2, which can be equivalently said like this, that slope of line 1 multiplied by the slope of line 2 will be equivalent to negative of 1. Both are correct. Moving ahead, we need to understand the slope intercept form of a line. Now we understood about the slope. Now we need to understand first of all about the y-intercept. Now what is a y-intercept? Y-intercept is a point where the line crosses the y-axis, or it's a point when the value of x is 0. When I say what is y-intercept, when x is 0. Similarly, x-intercept is a point where the line crosses the x-axis, or we can say the x-intercept is when y is 0. So in terms of SAT math perspective, mostly you need to remember these 2 points, that y-intercept is when x is equals to 0 and x-intercept is when y is equals to 0. Now, moving back to the understanding of a slope-intercept form, when you understand the slope-intercept form, it basically says that y is equivalent to mx plus c, where m represents the slope and c represents the y-intercept. These are the two fundamental things to understand or to represent any equation of the line. Okay. Now let's understand from the very basics or two quadrant bisector lines, which are called special lines, quadrant bisector lines. They're in very special names. When I say y is equivalent to x, if you compare y equals to x with the slope-intercept form of a line, which is y is equivalent to mx plus c, you can easily correlate that the value of m in this particular line is 1 and the value of c is 0. For a line where the y-intercept is 0 and the slope is 1, the line must be ascending as it is having a positive slope, and c y-intercept equals to 0 means the line must pass through the origin. Now, please understand, it is also called quadrant bisector line. The reason for that is it bisects the quadrant number 1 and quadrant number 3 into two equal parts, making an angle of 45 degrees with it. That means it splits these two quadrants into two equal parts. Further, the more information that we can grab from here is, in this particular line, we'll be having an equivalent value of x for every equivalent value of y. So the points or the coordinates on this particular line will be 0, 0. You can say it is 1, comma 1. It can be 2, comma 2. In the negative side, it can be negative of 1, comma negative 1. It can be negative 2, comma negative 2, and so on. Moving ahead towards the second quadrant bisector line or the special line, which is y is equivalent to negative of x. When you compare this line with y is equivalent to mx plus c, you can see that the value of m is negative of 1 and the value of c is 0. Again, this line is a negative line with the slope is negative. That means it is a falling line passing through the origin as the value of c is 0. Again, this line bisects the quadrant number 2 and quadrant number 4 into two equal parts, making an angle of 45 degrees with it. Now you can observe that on this particular line, you will see the points like this. For an equivalent value of x, you will be having an equivalent value of y, but with opposite signs. So the origin is definitely 0, comma 0. We definitely know that the value 0 is neither positive nor negative, right? But for any another value, you can observe it like this, that this is negative 1, comma 1. Then you can have values negative 2, comma 2. Again, over here you will say 1, comma minus 1, 2, comma minus 2, and so on. Now, the speciality of the line does not stop over here. You can say that the sum of coordinates on the line, any point you choose, and the sum of the coordinates on the line is equivalent to 0. Now, you can observe this, that for example, I'll be making a region above of the line, a region above of the line, this region. And there will be a region which is below of the line. So when you say this yellow region, for example, this is region number 1 and this is region number 2. Now what we can say about it, in region number 1, the sum of the coordinates, any point you choose in this particular region, the sum of the coordinates is going to be something positive. Whereas in region number 2, any point you choose, the sum of the coordinates is going to be something negative. So this line is more special than y is equals to x line. I hope this is clear to everyone. Let's move ahead. Now, we need to understand the interpretation of the slope and y-intercept. Now, when I say interpretation of the slope, we need to understand that what exactly slope tells us and what exactly y-intercept tells us. So let's understand that thing with a real life example. So imagine you are saving money for a vacation. You start with $500 in your saving account and decide to save an additional $20 every week. Using a linear equation, let's understand how your total saving grew over the time. Now, the amount of money Y in your saving account after X weeks can be represented by this equation that Y is equivalent to 20X plus 500. Now you can understand that Y is equivalent to 20X plus 500 tell me a lot of things. Now when I say 20, it is more or less slope and 500, it is more or less y-intercept. Slope is always telling me about a rate at which the things are either increasing or decreasing. C or y-intercept normally tell me about the initial value, the value that I hold in the very beginning. Now, easily in the graph, you can say that 0, comma 500 is the point from where my saving starts, and it keeps on going with a rate of $20 per week as an increasing factor. Now, understanding that what is going to be my interpretation of the slope. So what I can say for 20 as a slope, what I can say that with with each passing week, my savings increases by $20. That will be the representation of the slope, right? Similarly, for C equals to 500, what I can say at 0 t minus 0 days, that means in the very beginning or in the initial, my saving is 0. That means in broad, what will be the representation for slope and y-intercept? So when I say slope is what happened to y, it either increases or decreases when x increases by 1 unit. Similarly, C, the y-intercept is nothing but when the value of x is 0, or it is also called the initial value. Now, moving ahead, understanding the three types of questions. For the slope-intercept form, I like to make you understand that how you can find that. For a case when I'm saying that y is equivalent to mx plus c, to find the slope-intercept form of the equation, you always need the slope and c the y-intercept. Always remember that the points y and x are the points on the line which normally satisfy the line. Satisfy the line. So points on the line that satisfy the line is basically the coordinates x comma y, whereas m is the slope and c is the y-intercept. So always understand that y and x can be represented as variables, which changes with respect to the line, whereas slope and y-intercept are more or less the constant that do not change for any particular line. Okay, now we need to look forward for the considerations that, for example, if the slope and the y-intercept both are given to us, slope is 2, y-intercept is 3, can we figure it out, the equation of this particular line? Yes, we can do that. We can easily write that y is equivalent to, at the place of slope, we'll write 2x plus, at the place of c, I'll be writing 3. So this is my equation for the line. Y is equals to 2x plus 3. Now you can understand that the same thing you can just plot in the Desmos also, as we are working along with the sessions for Desmos. So you can see this thing in the Desmos also. So when you plot the line y is equals to 2x plus 3, you can see that the line is being plotted where the y-intercept is given to you 0 comma 3, and again you can figure it out the x-intercepts, that is minus 1.5 comma 0. It is not required for the line, but it is an extra add-on in the Desmos that will give you the considerations. Again, with the hover on feature, you can look forward for any another point on the line where you need it, right? Yeah. Okay. Now let's move ahead towards the second type, given slope and the point. If the slopes and the point is given to you, now how you can understand that the y is equivalent to mx plus c is the case. In this particular situation, the slope is given to me, that is the value of m, and a point 1 comma 2 actually represents the value of x and y. That means x is 1 and y is equivalent to 2, correct? So now for the equation of a line, I need m and c, where m is available, but c is not available. So I just plug these values inside of the equation to figure it out the value of c. So that is what I'm doing. You will see that y is 2, m is 3, x is 1 plus c. So the value of c stands equivalent to negative of 1. Finally, I can write my equation that y is equivalent to 3x minus 1, which will be the correct answer. Again, you can use the Desmos to figure it out these values, that what is happening in the equation for x-intercepts or further. But yeah, you can definitely plot the equation like this. Moving ahead, if the 2 points are given. Now, if the 2 points are given, that means you do not have the slope y is equals to mx plus c. You don't know the slope. You don't know the y-intercept. Now, in this case, you need to find the slope as well as the y-intercept. So I'm doing one by one. So slope is nothing but y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1, that we understood. It is just the change in y over change in x. So change in y can be represented as 6 minus 2, whereas change in x can be represented as 3 minus 1. So I'm doing 3 minus 1. 6 minus 2 is 4. 3 minus 1 is 2. My value for the slope stands equivalent to 2. Now, to figure it out the y-intercept, I need only 1 point. In this case, I have two. These are the x values and these are the y. 1, 2, 3, 6. X values are 1 and 3, y values are 2 and 6, right? So you can easily figure it out that you can just need to plug any of these points. You can use any of these points to figure it out the C part. So x equals to 1, y equals to 2 is available. Now, what you need to do, just plug all of these values to figure it out the C. So I'm doing that. 2 is equivalent to 2 times 1 plus C. You will see that the value is equivalent to 0. So finally, my equation of the line is y is equivalent to 2x. Plus 0, you can write, or you simply can write that y is equivalent to 2x. Plus 0 is so insignificant that we normally do not write it, but y is equals to 2x is the accurate prediction for that. Now, with this particular case, I like to introduce you to the next concept of Desmos, that is your regression technique. Now, you need to understand that if 2 points are given anywhere in the coordinate plane, with the help of regression in Desmos, you can easily plot the line and figure it out the slope and y-intercept very, very easily. How you can do that? Let me explain one by one. So I'm just writing the points for my reference, 1, comma 2, and another point is 3, comma 6. Let's see how we proceed. So when you open the Desmos, you just need to click on this add item, and then you need to click on this table. Once you click on the table, plug the points 1, 2, and the below 3, 6. Once you do, these points are being labeled on the graph. You can just need to click on them. You can see the labeled thing, but no need of that. In the next line, you just need to do the regression, that is y1, because the points over here is y1. You can see y1 is written on the top. Then the symbol of regression, that is shift and the key above tab, that is the regression sign. Then you will use a x1, or you can use m also. So mx1 plus c. Once you do that, the whole line is being printed. Now you can easily say that the value of m is 2, which is being done, and the value of c is 0. You can also see with the help of a Desmos over here that this line is passing through 0, comma 0. If you know these points, you can easily write the equation of the line that y is equivalent to 2x. Always remember, for a degree of 1 or for any linear equation, when 2 points are being given to you with the help of this regression technique, you can find the value of slope and y-intercept very easily. Moving ahead towards the general form of a linear equation. Till now, we understood the slope-intercept form, which is y is equivalent to mx plus c, where m is the slope and c is the y-intercept. But now we need to understand about the journal form, which is of the form of ax plus by is equivalent to c, right? Now, on a journal plane, if you just see this graph written over here, ax plus by equals to c, I have taken a, b, and c, all three values equal to 1, and the line is being plotted in front of you. Understand one thing, that a and b are the coefficients of x and y respectively, whereas c is the constant, and x and y are the variables, or you can definitely say that they are the coordinates on the line, right? Okay. Moving ahead, we need to understand that how we can convert a journal form into slope-intercept form. So if a journal form is being given, if you want to find the slope of the line, you can easily say this is negative coefficient of x upon coefficient of y. That means it can be easily written as negative of a by b, right? For an equation, for example, I'm writing 2x plus 3y is equivalent to 6. What should be the slope of this line? To quickly identify, I can easily say negative of a by b, that is negative coefficient of x, that will be negative 2, divided by the coefficient of y, that will be 3. So negative of 2 by 3 will be the case. Again, this can easily be done in a more systematic way by understanding or elaborating this equation into the slope-intercept form. How we can do that? We're just shifting 2x to that side first. So I'm writing 3y is equivalent to negative of 2x plus 6. Then dividing both sides by 3 will give me y is equivalent to negative of 2 by 3x plus 2. 6 by 3 is nothing but 2. So you can easily say that the value of slope is negative of 2 by 3, whereas the value of C or y-intercept is 2. Again, the value of y-intercept can easily be cracked by just putting x equals to 0. If you put x equals to 0 in the equation itself, it can be written as 2 times 0 plus 3y is equivalent to 6. The value 3y is equivalent to 6. Y is equivalent to 2. In both ways, it is actually being done. The next consideration for y-intercept in the journal form, you can figure it out the y-intercept as C by B also. So C given to me in this particular case is 6. B given to me is 3. So my answer will be 2. Both ways are correct. So I'm giving you a holistic view that how you can figure it out the slope of form of the journal form, y-intercept in the case of a journal form. Okay, moving ahead. So solution, understanding the solution through graphical interpretation, it's quite very interesting, and you need to understand that what is a solution and how we can figure it out the solution for any number of cases. Now, first of all, please understand that solution is something when the intersection happens. The most important thing is the number of intersection. Intersection itself represents a solution. If two lines intersect anywhere in the coordinate plane, that means the point of intersection is representing a solution. A solution means for both the equations when the value of x is similar to the value of y for both the lines. That means those coordinates is the intersection point which satisfy both the equations, right? That is an intersection. So if there is no intersection, that means there is no solution to the system. You can see the graphs. Y is equals to 2x plus 1 and y is equals to 2x minus 3. There are two equations of the line plotted on the Desmos. There is no intersection. The lines are parallel. That means no solution. Similarly, a parabola is being made along with a line. There is no intersection in parabola and a line. That means there is no solution. In a similar way, one intersection means that the point or the system of the equations are intersecting exactly at one point. Now you can see at these two lines in the very first case in the linear system, these two lines are being intersecting at only one point, that is 1 comma 2. That means there is only one intersection or one solution. Similar is the situation with a parabola intersecting with a line at only one point, that is negative 1 comma negative 1. This is the intersection that is happening. And this is only one intersection. So one intersection, one solution. Next thing to understand is multiple intersections. Multiple intersections cannot be possible in a situation of lines because it is infinite solutions then. But two intersections are definitely possible. So two intersections are possible in the case of a parabola. You can see this one intersection and this is the another intersection. So two intersection means two solutions. So in the case of a parabola, you can easily see that there will be a case for no intersection. That means no solution. There is one intersection, that is one solution. And in the case of two intersection, that is only possible in parabola but not possible in the lines. That means two solutions. Moving ahead, you can understand that in the cases of a line, if the two lines are overlapping, right? The two lines are overlapping. They're more or less the similar lines with some different constraints. So you can say for these two lines, you just see that this is just a multiple of 2 into 2 times. Y is equals to 2x plus 3, 2y is equals to 4x plus 6. So these are called simultaneous equations. In these simultaneous equations, what is happening that a line is overlapping the another line. In this particular situations, we'll be having infinitely many solutions. So when we have infinite intersections, that means we'll be having infinite solutions, right? So that you need to understand. Okay, moving ahead towards all of these considerations, I'd like to give you the clearer view with respect to the slope-intercept form and the journal form, that what is happening and how you can identify them by just looking at the equations. Let's understand that. So for the case of a slope-intercept form, y is equals to mx plus c and y is equals to m2x plus c2. That means what I'm changing over here is m1 c1, that is for line 1, which is red line, and m2 c2, which is basically the blue line. So definitely slopes and y-intercepts are different. To identify that these two lines have unique solution, you just need to look forward for the slopes. No need to look at towards the y-intercepts, but just look at towards the slopes. If the two slopes are different in these situations, definitely they will be having unique solutions. That means slope of a line 1 is not equivalent to the slope of line 2. Similar situation can be identified when we are looking forward for a journal form. So A1x plus B1y is equivalent to C1, which is a red line, and A2x plus B2y plus is equals to C2, which is the second line, which is the blue line. I can easily say negative coefficient of x upon coefficient of y, which can be written as for the very first line, that is negative of A1 by B1 is going to be the slope of the first line, which is the red line, which should not be equivalent to the slope of the second line, which is negative of A2 by B2. If you just see this is simple mathematics, and you can just cancel out the negative sign on both the sides, and you can just do a small rearrangement, which can be written as A1 by A2 is not equivalent to B1 by B2, which something is written over here as a rule. So just need to understand that whenever such thing will happen, that you're just looking at the equation, you just need to look forward for the coefficients of x and y. In the case of a unique solution, the, the ratios of A coefficients must not be equivalent to the ratios of the B coefficients. That should be a unique solution. Similar consideration can be taken care for the case of no solutions. No solution means that the lines are basically parallel or they never intersect. When the lines do not intersect, that means there is no solution. So in that particular situation, you need to understand the slopes of the lines must be equal with the different y-intercept. So you can say that the slopes are equal, the lines are parallel, as we understood that uh, we have just understood that thing, and we just need to understand that this is two different y-intercepts over here. So y-intercepts are definitely different, as the value of c over here should be different from this. So the slopes are equal, but the y-intercepts are definitely different. So in that particular situation, we'll be having no solution. When I say that we'll be having no solution in the case of journal form, how we can understand that? Now, A1 by A2 must be equivalent to B1 by B2. That is a clear representation that the slopes are equal, but it should not be equivalent to the ratios of the y-intercept part, because we know that C1 and C2 itself represents the y-intercepts. So that must not be equal. So A1 by A2 is equivalent to B1 by B2, but not equals to C1 by C2 represents the case of a no solution. Let's move ahead and understand the case of infinitely many solutions. Infinitely many solutions is a case when you will see that both the lines are actually going one over the another. That means they're basically two different lines with the two different equations, but when you plot them or when you graph them, they're basically the same line. So in that particular situation, you can easily say that both the slopes are equal as well as the y-intercept is equal. So it's the same line passing to the same y-intercept that you can easily see. A similar consideration can be seen for a journal form where the ratios of the coordinate of x and y-intercepts, that is a1 by a2 and b1 by b2 respectively, must be equal with respect to the ratios of the y-intercept, that is c1 and c2. For the sake of better convenience, I have made this table so that it should not be gone. And you can remember this for many different questions that are coming up. Again, for the unique solution, linear equations. You're just looking at the case. Now, sometimes in SAT, what is happening that the slope intercept form can be written like this in this particular format. That means they will say that 2x plus c, or there should be some number that 2x plus 4 is equivalent to 3x plus 5. Now, there are two different slope intercept forms as they just equated the y, right? So you just need to understand that this 2 is not equivalent to 3. That means the slopes are different. If the slopes are different, definitely we'll be having a unique solution. In the case of a journal form, as I suggested, just look forward for the coefficients of x and the coefficients of y for the unique case. That means A by D should not be equivalent to B by E. If it is happening, it's a unique solution. In the case of a non-solution, that means the lines are parallel. If such a case is there, definitely the coefficient of x in both the cases in the slope-intercept form must be same. Definitely we'll be having a no solution. That means B is not equivalent to C. In the case of a journal form, we just need to look forward that the coefficient of x and the coefficient of y as per the ratio should be equal. That means A by D should be equivalent to B by E, but not equivalent to C by F. Moving ahead towards the consideration for the infinitely many solutions, we know that they are identical lines, simultaneous lines. So you can easily say that the coefficients of x in both the situations are same, whereas the y-intercept is also the same. For the case of a journal form, definitely all three ratios remain the same. Now we will move towards some classwork questions and understand more about these concepts one by one with some difficulty increased. So let's understand and apply these concepts to the SAT level questions. Question number one. Now, first of all, a table is being given to you that represents some number of hours and a parking fees. And the number of hours are being given as 2, 4, 8, and 16, where the parking fees given to me is 4, 6, 10, and 18, right? What the question suggests, if the question says that the table above shows the parking fees charged by a garage based on the number of hours a car is parked, there is a linear relationship between the parking fee and the number of hours parked. Which equation can be used to determine the total parking fee F in dollars for parking H hours? Now you can understand one thing very clearly that you need 2 points to plot the equation, right? If there are 4 points, that is absolute advantage. You definitely have an absolute advantage for that. What two things you need for this particular equation? You just need the slope and the y-intercept, as all of the options are just suggesting the slope and the y-intercept. So what we need to do, we can just apply that. I'm just using 2 points, first 2 points, which are very easier for me, 2, 4, and 4, 6. So I'm writing over here, which is 2, 4, and 4, 6. I'm going towards the Desmos, inserting the table menu, writing the points 2, 4, 4, 6, and then doing the regression. That is y1, a sign of regression, mx1 plus c. You will see that the value of m over here is 1 and the value of c is 2. That can be easily understood that this is the point. What should be the equation of the line in these terms? So I can say that the equation of the line should be y is equivalent to 2x plus, I'm sorry, it should be x because the slope is 1. So y is equals to x plus 2, correct? So in terms of the equation that is represented in the question, what can we say? Now x is being represented as, what is x representing? The number of hours, that is h. So, and the parking fee is represented as y. So I can say that f is equivalent to h plus 2. Which equations represent this option? That is option number C, which will be the correct answer. So no need to go further. Just you need to look forward for the linear relationship, understand the properties, look forward for the Desmos, include the points. There are only 2 points needed. Put the points inside of the table menu, do the regression, figure it out, your y-intercepts and slope, and look forward for the equations. It is that simple. No need to do anything else. Moving ahead towards the next question. Again, a question is being given to me which says a graph is being given first of all, and the question says there's a company A on the x-axis and the company B on the y-axis. It says the graph shows the relationship between the number of shares of stock from company A, which is in the x-axis obviously, and the number of shares of stock from company B, which is at the y-axis, that someone can purchase. Which equation could represent this relationship? Now, when you observe the graph clearly, you can see that these 2 points are very much clear to me. We just need 2 points, always remember, for a linear relationship. So this point is 0, comma 40, as this is the y-intercept. And this point is 60, comma 0, which is my x-intercept. By the help of these 2 points in the graph itself, in the Desmos itself, we can plot it. So again, I'm doing the same thing. I'm including the table menu and putting the values 0, comma 40, and then 60, comma 0. Once I plug these values inside of it, I can do the regression that y1, a sign of regression, mx1 plus c. Now we'll see that the value of m is equivalent to 0.66667 and the value of c is 40 that we already know. If you want that what is the value of m, you just need to write m over here, click over this hover button, it will give you negative of 2 by 3, which is further clear. And if I just need to write the equation now, I can write that y is equivalent to negative of 2 by 3x plus 40. That will be my equation. Now, I'm not able to see the equation. In that particular situation, you can zoom out or zoom in. But for this case, I'm just using my scroll button of mouse, and that will make it zoom out and zoom in. Now, once you look at towards the options, once you look at towards the options, none of the option is matching with this, right? So to save time and to answer this question in another 30 seconds, what you can do, just start putting the options inside of the Desmos. Once you do that, what you need to observe that which line is overlapping this, which option is overlapping, that will be the correct answer. So I'm putting the very first line that is saying that y is equivalent to 8x plus 12. See, this line is not overlapping. Then I'm moving further. It is saying that 8x plus 12y is equivalent to 480. Oh, my bad, it's 12y. Yeah. So we'll see that this line is exactly meeting with the line that we have plotted. So definitely option number B will be the correct answer in this case. No need to check further lines. If you do further lines, definitely they do not intersect. For your help, I'm just plotting those two lines also. You can see that. So y is equals to 12x plus 8. See, this is again a different line, green line. Then 12x plus 8y is equivalent to 480, which is again a different line. So the only line that is meeting our consideration is this line. So if I just hide these three lines, you can see this is the only line meeting with our real line. Yeah. So B will be the correct answer. Let's move ahead towards the next question. Again, a very interesting question. It says the table above shows the coordinates of the 3 points on a line in the XY plane. Again, we need only 2 points for Desmos, but please remember that 2 points should be complete. In this case, 1 point is complete, 3 comma 7, but the another 2 points have variables k and n. So we need to work for this particular question manually. The table above shows the coordinates of 3 points on a line in the xy plane where k and n are constants. If the slope of the line is 2, what is the value of k plus n? Right. So we need to find the value of k plus n. Always remember, guys, that whenever you need to find the value of such thing like k plus n, always remember that to write something else. That my final answer is k plus n. You can write it something first. The very first thing you need to write is something like this, and then you need to proceed further. Because if you forget this thing, definitely there will be a chance that you put on some wrong value. So do not stub for it. It's a question stub error. Do not do that. Let's understand how we do that. So what we are doing, as the value of slope is available for me is 2, I know the formula for the slope, that is change in y over change in x, which can be written as y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. I can plug the values for the first 2 points very easily. So if I just plug the values, I can say that 2 is equivalent to y2 minus y1, that is 11 minus 7, that is this 11 minus 7, and then x2 minus x1, that will be k minus 3. And then I just need to solve it. When I solve it, it can be written as 2k minus of 6 is equivalent to 11 minus 7, which is more or less 4. So I just can write that. And then I can solve that 2k is equivalent to 10. The value of k is equivalent to 5. So yeah, that is the case. Now, I know the value of k is 5. The k is 5. So if I want that, I can use these 2 points also. That 5, comma 11 will be my next point. I can use that in a similar way. So let's use these 2 points now to figure it out the value of n, because I need the value of n also. Again, I can say that 2 is equivalent to n minus 11, y2 minus y1 upon 12 minus k. And then I can just solve it. Once I solve, the value of n in this particular situation turns out to be 25. Finally, they're being asking for the value of k plus n, which is nothing but 5 plus 25, which is equivalent to 30. So the thing that I need to put in this SPR is 30 over here, which will be my correct answer. Let's move ahead towards the next question. Question number 4. Now it says that in the XY plane, line M has y-intercept at 4 and is perpendicular to the line with the equation y is equals to 2x by 3. So you can say that the equation of the line that is given to me is y is equals to 2 by 3x. That is the equation. And there's a line M which is having a y-intercept at 4. You can roughly see the things if you want to. Roughly see the things somewhere like this. And try to, visualize the thing more. If the equation is being given to me somewhere like this, which is having a positive slope and is being passing to the origin for sure, so I can say that the line must be passing like this because 2 by 3 is a positive slope, which is positive, more or less. If a equation M is being given to me, the line M, which must be going somewhere like this, so the slope must be negative. Now I will see that if the lines are perpendicular to each other, the slopes are basically the product of the slopes are equals to -1, or they will be negative reciprocal to each other. If the slope of this particular line is 2 by 3, definitely the slope of this line should be negative of 3 by 2. Can I say that? And the y-intercept of this particular line is 4. That means this point is 0, comma 4, 100%. The equation of this particular line is y is equivalent to negative of 3 by 2x plus 4. So see how fast I can figure it out the equation of the lines. Once I know the equation of the line, I just need to plug these values for x and y. Now the value of x given to me over here is minus 3 and the value of c I need to figure it out. So at the place of y, I'm just writing c is equivalent to negative of 3 by 2 times negative of 3 plus of 4 that I just need to calculate. You will see negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, 9 by 2 plus 4. If you solve this, this is 4 times 8, 8 plus 9, that is equals to 17 by 2. So my correct answer should be 17 by 2. Either you plug 17 by 2 over here, or you can use your scientific calculators to figure it out the exact value that should be 8.5, which is also correct. So in both ways, this question can be solved. Let's move ahead towards the next question, question number 5. It says that the lines are parallel. Line P and Q are parallel in the xy plane. The equation of the line P is 3x minus 5y equals to 15. And line Q passes through the point 4 comma minus 2. What is the y-intercept of the line Q that we need to find? Okay, again, the rough consideration is very great. Let's try to work on in a similar way. So we know that this is my x-intercept. This is my, this is my y-axis. This is my x-axis. Now, if I just look towards two parallel lines, I'm just roughly drawing the lines. I don't know that in this way the lines are going or not. So I'm just doing the same thing over here. So yeah, for example, these are the two parallel lines. The first equation of the line is 3x minus 5y equals to 15. I don't know the next line. Now, but just looking at this equation, I know that this line is more or less what line? This is in the form of a journal form. So the slope of this particular line is going to be negative of negative coefficient of x upon coefficient of y, which I can say negative of 3 divided by coefficient of y, which is negative of 5, which generates a value 3 by 5. So the slope of this line should also be 3 by 5 for sure, right? So for example, this is line P, this is line Q. Let's consider in that sense. And it passes to the point 4 comma 2. So for example, 4 comma minus 2 is this point. 4 comma minus 2 is this point. Okay. What is the y-intercept? We need to find the y-intercept that the line where the line passes through it. Now, how we can find the y-intercept? Very easy. You just need to figure it out that when the to form the equation of the line basically, right? So equation of the line is when the value of x is 0. So yeah, that is the case. So first of all, the slope is given to me, that is 3 by 5. The value of x is 4. The value of y is minus 2. I can easily find the value of c. Y is equivalent to mx plus c will be the case. I'm putting y is equals to minus 2. M is 3 by 5. X is 4 plus c. When I solve it, the value of c will be equivalent to negative of 22 by 5. You just need to solve it. So either you can put negative of 22 by 5 over here, or you can use your scientific calculators or Desmos to figure it out the next consideration, which is negative of 4.4, which is equivalent to this, right? So both are correct as a value of C. Let's move ahead towards the next case. So this category of a question is very common in SAT examinations where huge statements are being given and you just need to figure it out what exactly is being happening. So it says that a bus traveled on the highway and on local roads to complete a trip of 160 miles. The trip took 4 hours. The bus traveled at an average speed of 55 miles per hour on the highway at an average speed of 25 miles per hour on local roads. So there are two kinds of roads given, highway and local roads. If X is the time in hours the bus traveled on the highway, X time represents the traveling of the bus on highway, and Y is the time in hours it travels on the local roads. So which system of equation represents this situation? All of the thing that you just need to do is to understand the variables, understand the basic interpretation, and then you just need to convert the language back to the equations. That is the only thing needs to be done. The variables are already defined in the question as X is being defined is the time in hours the bus traveled on the highway, and Y is being represented the traveled on the local roads. So that is the case. So see, first of all, let's understand if the bus travels at an average speed of 55 miles per hour on the highway for X hours, right? So that means I can say that bus is traveling at an average speed of 55 miles per hour on highway. That means the distance covered by the bus on highway should be equivalent to 55 times X, right? And similarly, the distance traveled by the bus on the local roads is basically the bus traveling at an average speed of 25 miles per hour. That is being written over here 25 miles per hour, 25 miles per hour. So 25 miles per hour with a speed of for y hours basically. So you can say 25 miles per hour into y will be the distance traveled on the local roads. So total distance on highway plus distance on local roads can be figured out as 55x plus 25y, which should be equivalent to the total distance that is being traveled by the bus, which is 160 miles, written in the question. So 160. At this point, you can easily eliminate all the options and you will achieve towards the very correct. See, it does not have this, it does not have this, it does not have this. So option number B is the correct answer. Whereas the second consideration, if you want to look forward for the second case also, you can easily say that Uh, we just need to figure it out that the total time is being given as 4 hours. The trip took 4 hours. That means the time that we spend on highways plus the time that we spend on local roads should be equivalent to 4 hours. X plus Y is equals to 4, which is the second equation written. So option number B is the correct answer. Let's move ahead towards the next question to understand more about it. A question is being given as it. This is again a very common question as the interpretation question asked in the examination. So it is being given 8,000 minus 50m is equals to 500. That is the equation being given to us. It's a simple equation. It's a linear equation. We know that. In 1900, the population of a bird species was 8,000. That is given. The population M after 1900 was 500. So that means after some time it was reduced to 500, and satisfies the equation above. Which of the following is the best interpretation of the number 50 in the context? Now, if you just see, if I just need to write everything that 8,000 minus 50m is equals to 500. So that means in some time from 1900s onward, the birds are being reduced to 500 as in total. What is being represented as 8,000 as an equation? So we know that this is being represented. This is more or less looks like y is equals to mx plus c case, right? So this is m, this is x, this is c. So c is being represented as initial value or y-intercept. So I can say that in 1900, 8,000 will be my initial value of the birds, right? 50m, negative of 50 times m. So negative 50m is more or less comparatively telling me about that this much is being reduction happening every year, right? So I can say that the decrease in population over time. So decrease is proportional to the rate that 50 is being decreased every year, right? So it is absolutely very, very clear that 50 birds are being reduced every year. So by just looking at this consideration, I can say that the difference between the population in 1900 and the population M years after 1900, no, it is not telling me about the difference. For sure, it is not the answer. The population M years after 1900, no, it is not telling me about that also. The value of M when the population was 500, no, it is not telling me about the value of M also. It is telling me that the average decrease in the population per year. That means we know that this thing is representing a rate per year means 50 birds are being reduced every year for, for number of years, and then it is being therefore as 1900 the total number of birds left is 500. If you want, you can just figure it out the value of M also. You just need to solve it. If you solve for the value, it can be written as that 50M is equivalent to 7500. The value of M is nothing but 150. That means in 150 years itself, it takes to reduce down the population after 1900 to 500. So B will be the correct answer. Let's move ahead towards the next question. Question number 8, it is saying that in the given system of equations, A is the constant if the system has no solution. So first of all, we need to just strike down this word no solution. No solution means the lines are parallel. Lines are parallel. So if the lines are parallel, definitely they do not intersect. If the lines do not intersect, definitely we know that the coefficient of x and y has equal proportions with respect to the slope. So let's see about that. So first of all, what I'm doing, I'm just making the equation, simplifying them. Once I simplify them, we'll be looking at the further things. So it says 3 by 2y. I'm just taking negative of 3 by 2y to that side. So it will become plus of 3 by 2y minus of 1 by 4x is equivalent to 2 by 3, which further can be written as 3y negative of 1 by 4x is equivalent to 2 by 3, which will be my equation number 1. Looking at the second consideration for the second equation, I can write negative of py. I'm just taking y to that side. I'm just equating the things, py. And then I'm writing plus of 1 by 2x is equivalent to 9 by 2 plus 3 by 2, where the 2 is the common denominator. So 9 plus 3 is 12. 12 by 2 is more or less 6. So I'm just writing 6 at the place of 9 by 2 plus 3 by 2. So it is 6, which is my equation number 2. Now you just need to look forward for the coefficients of x and y. Uh, if you just look toward the coefficients of x and y, this is 3, this is negative of p, this is negative of 1 by 4, and this is 1 by 2. All of these must be in the similar proportion. So I'm just writing that is 3 divided by negative p must be equal to negative of 1 by 4 whole divided by 1 by 2. Definitely the negative sign will get cancelled on both the ends. The value of p should be equivalent to, or yeah, the value of p should be equivalent to, this is 2, 2 is a 4, and that will go up. So it will be like 3 times 2, which is equivalent to 6. So 6 will be my correct answer. So such a category of a question are very common in the SAT examination. You can easily find them. So that is all about the session, guys. We'll see you in the next class. Thank you.